Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker. I'm very proud to say that this person is not only a great teacher for me. I have the pleasure of being able to help her out with things on Mondays, and she just is constantly teaching me wonderful things, but she's also my dear friend. So our speaker today is Swami Satchidanand, who was ordained by our very own Paul Solomon back in 1992. And so she's also known as Reverend Sally Perry. She continues to bless the people from not only this church and many others in our community, as well as around the world, with her love and her wisdom. Swami works to connect the East and West of America, as well as the East and West Bridge of the world. She has a wonderful teacher named Painted Arrow, who's a member of the Ute Pueblo tribe, who initiated her, and as well as that, she has a teacher from India, Yug Purush Swami Paramanandji from India. He initiated her as a Swami May 7th, 2008. So she's been pretty busy. We open our hearts and minds to hear her inspired message today, so give a warm welcome to Miss Reverend Swami Satchidanand.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. God, peace, peace, peace. Breathing in peace and breathing out peace. Breathing in love and breathing out love. Breathing in faith, breathing out faith. Breathing in hope, breathing out hope and love. Today started in 1985 on the Ute Reservation doing a vision quest. I came out of the sweat lodge afterwards into the river, and I heard a voice saying, "You now have eternal life." Well, old-fashioned Baptist, I didn't even have any idea what the world meant by eternal life. So I put that on a shelf way back. 11 years later, I realized what happened and what it was about. So today I'm 16, well, May the 7th, I'm 16 as a Swami. So it took me 11 years to meet a guru that taught me what I'm going to briefly try to say to you. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the ending, the first and the last. And the beginning was God, was the Word, and the Word was God. The next was let there be light. And connecting the bridge and to the church here, we talk about the Supreme Soul, or the Absolute, or the formless consciousness, or the Source, or the light, which we're all searching for. And even at 16, I am growing in this 84-year-old body. And so we are all connected in that formless consciousness that never is born and never dies, also called the witness. So I'm going to start by the states of consciousness. Your waking state, your dream state, your deep sleep state, and one that I didn't know about till I went to India was the Vasna Turiya. It's Turiya Vasna, excuse me. So we all know what the waking state is. When we wake up, most of the time we forget our dreams. But I kept my dreams for 5 years till my dream body woke up. But what happens is if you remember your dream, your intellect has entered, because the intellect will bring the light into your dream, and that's the reason you can remember it. But that's also the reason to keep a pad and pencil so you can record it, because that light is difficult for us to maintain. So in the waking, forgiveness is very important. It's one of the foundations I use along with the medicine wheel. The other thing is judgment. It took me about 25 years to work through that one. I remember telling Painted Arrow once, I've been working 20 years on judgment. How long does it take? He said, me too. I said, you're still, he cocked his glasses, me too. I said, okay, I'm almost home. My testing was here, really, after I had opened the center, when we did the recording of the Divine Feminine. And I jumped up right away judging someone that was speaking and raising heck about the men. And I thought, Divine Mother doesn't do that. Yeah. And the minute I did it, stood up, I said, I'm sorry, I'm a Swami, I can't judge. And I sat back down. And a man in the back from New York said, well, I can, because she just said the fellowship. She needs to Google fellowship. Has nothing to do with the man. So test, just when you think you got it, you'll get a test. So don't be surprised. It's not you failed, it's have you really got it? Yeah. Awareness is the most important tool. Develop awareness. Awareness. Awareness when you're meditating. Don't go to sleep. Awareness when you're meditating. Because then prayer is asking, meditation is listening. It's fine to use the tools of watching the light and this and that and the other and listening to music, but eventually be quiet. I used to love to sit under a tree. Yeah. I slept under a tree for an hour, for a year, when I lost everything. In 4 years, I became a multimillionaire. 4 years later, I lost it all. Yeah. And I rented a place on the bay, and I slept for a year under the tree. It gave me back my life. And they always say in business that if you're down and out, go back to Mother Earth. My father was Cherokee, so I have that lineage. The other thing, as we get through all that, it's a long journey. We've lived millions of lifetimes to get here. This is not our first rodeo. Yeah. Casey, I remember them quoting him as saying, is everybody you meet been with you in other lives? He said, almost everybody. So I feel I've been with y'all before. Yeah, maybe I was 16 then, but I learned a little something in the physical world. So attachment is huge. the one girl that spent so much time with me in India, it kind of broke both our hearts. We separated for about a year when we got back to America over foolishness. But I realized I was getting attached to her, and I had been working so difficult not to be attached to a teacher or even a friend, because attachment brings expectations. And when you start going down expectations with your parents or your children, or your lovers or husbands or friends, and they don't do what you expect, you suffer. So we have to look at expectations. It's always us. It's never, ever anyone else. Our souls belong to us. The Supreme Soul belongs to everybody. Like back to the Alpha and the Omega. God, light, Far Eastern Supreme Soul, absolute are words, formless consciousness. All of us are striving for that which is never born and never dies, but is that light that Sharon talked about, that Paul brought in here. I say that Paul Solomon and Joseph Rael Panadera walked me to the door of formless consciousness. And Swami Paramanandji walked me through and has shown me how I got there. So, in deep sleep, we go back to our source. We go back to the light. That's why we don't remember. And after a lot of work, we may have samadhi, different experiences that take us to the light, but we come out of it. It's not the final course. We may go and be Turiya Vasana. Turiya Vasana is the fourth state. Turiya is the divine being. It's along with the source, formless consciousness. Even in formless consciousness, there is the witness. But the witness does not judge, just like we're taught that God doesn't judge. Most people say, oh, I'm observing, I'm really good, I'm getting to witness. But you're judging while you're witnessing yourself. I could have done better, I should be lighter, I should make more money. Yeah, I should have called my mother, I should have called my father. Yeah. I should have forgiven them before they died. You can still forgive them. We're just energy. So Turiya Vasana, Turiya is like the divine being in India, Hindu speak. But the Vasana Turiya, yes, that's okay. Panadera taught if you hear a sound, it's divine truth. I loved it when the dog barked. Yes, yes, yes. Dog's best friend, yeah. Vasana, you reach a point where you're going in and out of formless consciousness. But you maintain your intellect. So right on up in that journey, you have to get where you're more in touch with your intellect. Your ego blends in and melds in to the intellect. And Swami gave us the greatest explanation of the intellect and the mind and the ego. He said, suppose you're at a party and you're a diabetic and your sugar's high and there's a piece of chocolate cake that you really want. So you're starting to move towards it. Your intellect says, your sugar's high, you shouldn't eat that. Your ego says, well, I'll have a little piece, just today. So once that ego can meld into the intellect, it will listen. It will listen. Because the intellect is way on up to total enlightenment. Yes. And as long as we say, I am a teacher, I am this, I am that, I am in my intellect, we're in a state. We're in a state because that's two, not one. So there's 4 states of consciousness, and then Turiya, which is the source, God, the absolute, formless consciousness, the light, that's in and through all of us. It's in the trees, it's in the dirt, it's in the chair you're sitting in, it's in your neighbors, it's in this building. That's formless consciousness. It never is born and it never dies. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So I'm like everyone else. I'm still learning. But what I have said today is wisdom because I've experienced it. Knowledge and books come from teachers. But wisdom comes from experiencing what the teachers taught you and what your books have taught you. Your experience brings wisdom, true wisdom. For me, it was important that I do the dances, 1 of 7. That we're blessed to take the world peace dance out into the world. Haven't danced 12 dances, 3 days no food or water in 9 years. All but 1 of us are still living. Paramanandji. That took me to India, to Babaji's cave, where I started having the realization of eternal life and what it meant. Coming back down that mountain where I ended my book and need to start the next one, is coming in to Swami Paramanandji's ashram. There was 200 ashrams, and my friend was looking for her guru that was dying. By the fourth one, they sent us to a sadhu's ashram. I did not even know what a sadhu was. And wandered in and had a vision for 4 days, 16 million years ago. And my spiritual son that was managing went to his guru, Swami Paramanandji, 6 hours away. He later told me that he was told I was coming, and he sent word for me to come back there and live. So for 6 years, on and off, I lived there with the saints. And he came and spoke at the UN in 2000 at the World Millennium Peace Summit, and I was honored to be an invited observer. Painted Era told me he was going and he would take me. He went, he didn't take me. Alex Orbito, I worked with for 10 years, said he was going, he would take me. He didn't take me. So when a friend called me and said, I know why your week has been canceled, I'm in New York, you're going to the World Millennium Peace Summit. I said, are you crazy? No, Swami just had somebody call from India. You need to send in some papers. You're going with him. So sometimes it's little teeny steps, and sometimes it's huge steps. It was a huge step when Paul ordained me, a huge step. And when he passed, I remember calling Sharon crying because I had a medicine wheel I had to do in Pennsylvania, and the people were going to Europe, so I had to go. And she said, don't worry, because Paul always said, do your work. On the drive up, I saw Paul. I could hear all the people crying, but he was sitting on this huge heart with his legs crossed. And they said he's sitting at the heart of God, on the heart of God. Yeah. All my mentors helped me tremendously. But I do, again, believe that Paul and Painted Era walked me to the door of formless consciousness. And I had many samadhi experiences in the light in India, but I still wasn't all the way there. But Turiya Vasana, I maintain my intellect. I'm in no mind, but I maintain my intellect so I can go in and out. Yes. God bless. Yes. So I feel that I had to go, and I'd always heard that Jesus spent time in India and was told he was even buried in India. But when I went to Unity, before I came here and became a Unity teacher, Jesus came into my heart for a week, and my hands started flooding out with light, and I'm trying to get rid of it. I was in total ignorance. But I come to you today in total truth, love and harmony, believing and knowing that on some level we all are connected. And those little babies over there, I just love them. And what's been my work is helping people with their own inner child. Because I always see the child in people, the wounded child. And one people used to say when I had the center, you have more men than most people. Why? I said, because I see their little boys and I just love them. Yeah. And I remember, suffer the little children to come unto me. Such is the kingdom of heaven. It said the little children, not the little boys or the little girls, both. And we embody both. The left side's the feminine, the right side's the masculine. Crosses over in the brain. A medicine woman that Joseph bought once right out here. She did a teaching on the lawn, and I'm still trying to figure out, well, if this is feminine, the brain should be over here. And the medicine woman from Australia spoke to me. I'm laying on a blanket she says, Sally, you're trying to figure it out. The feminine brain is on the right side and the masculine's on the left. So that's the way things come to me sometimes. It's all a blessing. The light was hitting me in the heart, knocking me out with my ceremonies. And I was told I had to live in India to integrate the heart light. So some of the teachings, like I told Jerry, this book on immortality talks about the states of consciousness. That really was a good place. Swami had this translated, because when I went, that was my only question. What is immortality? And they told him I was supposed to have been there 3 days earlier, and he only had an hour left. He had been there 3 days. And he hands me this book. It's in Hindi. They said it's his only copy. I take it to my heart, hand it back. He hands it back. Goes on the third time I look at the people, I said, what's this book about? It's in Hindi. Immortality. I said, oh, God sends me the answer in the whole book. But it's in Hindi. Okay, thank you. Panadera also gave us a teaching after one dance one time. He gave us a leaf. He said, wisdom comes from belief. It's the bee and the leaf. So while y'all are here in this transcendental, is what dances take you to, awareness. I want you to meditate on this leaf and think about belief. The bee goes back to Egypt, the ancient ones. Yes. So believe whatever you can take from today and let it bless your heart and souls, and know you're exactly where you're supposed to be with exactly who you're supposed to be till you know you're not supposed to be. And then you move on. Yeah, it's be still and know I am God, not being still. We get quiet and our mind's running. What should I do yesterday? What should I do tomorrow? That's being. The ing puts action on it. So just be still and know that you're all God. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Okay. This book is about the light after me dancing 12 dances in 9 years, no food and water. This book is about the light hitting me in the heart that took me to India after meditating in Babaji's cave, and it's about eternal life and the states of consciousness on our journey, going into the intellect and the ego, melting into the intellect, which eventually allows us to know we're God through the intellect. And that fourth state, which is a blessed state, Turiya Vasana, is where you're able to go in the light and maintain the intellect and come back out and teach and work. And I believe that Paul, I believe that Panadera, both of them were Turiya Vasana.